Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to twitch.tv/Ice Cream Applause. My name is Graham Day, and that's my email, not what I needed to be on screen. That's fine, it's gone. Hello! Welcome, how is everyone doing today? Can you hear us okay? Is everything good? We are back in the ice cream studio, just to prove it. Hey! Welcome. How is everyone doing today? If you are in the chat, please feel free to let us know if you are here. For those of you who don't know, my name, as you can see on screen, is Graham Day, and I'm joined by the man that we call BB.
That's me.
BB.
Hello.
I'll read. So yeah, as we do each and every Tuesday now, we are back in the ICU studio, the modified, socially distant studio. This isn't what the studio looks like. I don't know if you can actually see it on the high cam. You can't. We've hidden it just out of view, but just over there is the main desk that we usually sit at. So we have our big screen sort of set up here. We don't have that. If you were here last week or the week before on Tuesday, we don't have those in place right now because, you know, we're in the office and we have to be 2 meters away from each other just because Bibby eats eggs on a morning, and that's all it is.
Egg mayo, mate, nothing better.
Oh. All right, Bib.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's a good job that the camera's that far away, because I had a spot last night in the middle of my face and and it popped. Yeah, but it popped, right? So I'm like this pressing the tissue on my face constantly, and I've ended up bruising. I've ended up getting a bruise round the spot.
So breaking news: Bibby can bruise himself with tissue.
honest to God, it. Right? I don't. It would it be terms of service if I showed them? It won't be, will it? If I'm showing them my side when I got hit with a golf ball.
No, as long as you're not showing nipples, it's fine. It's fine.
Look at this. When I said I got hit by a golf ball last week, it's a lot easier to show you in the studio than it is at home. But look at this. Right, which camera? This one. Look at that! I mean, you can see a lot of fat, but I got hit by a fucking golf ball.
So that is why you stick to playing golf video games. Play PGA 2K21, that doesn't happen.
I thought, I'm not playing football anymore. I'll be able to go and play a sport that you won't get physically damaged at, and then I get hit by a golf ball.
Well, to be fair, you are literally pelting stones up and down fields with sticks.
or in tree lines.
yeah. Or off tree lines, as the case may be. But anyway, welcome in, everyone. This is Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham. This is Bib. That is Bibby's Bruise. And we obviously are ice cream in true ice creamy fashion. This is The Scoop, your daily dose of news from the world of video games and beyond. This is the UK's #1 video game podcast, even if we do say so ourselves. We're going to give you our thoughts and impressions of the biggest, the best, and the breaking stories from the world of video games. We want your thoughts and impressions on his thoughts and impressions, and my thoughts and impressions. We need a discussion, a debate, and if you're in the Twitch chat, which I see a lot of you are this morning, then please feel free to have that discussion. Join us right now, because we turn this into a YouTube video and an audio podcast. The YouTube video goes live a little bit later on today, followed by the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So if you're in the chat, make sure you use your voice, which I can see a number of you are doing now. Good morning, Lake, who was in early this morning. How you doing, dude? He says, I am doing FIFA. Do you have FIFA? What do you think?
I'm enjoying it.
Speaking of PGA 2K, shout out to VFM Everton Ian, or Evertonian, who says, morning gents, he won yesterday's loot drop. So a reminder, if you are a subscriber on Ice Cream Uploads, we appreciate you supporting the channel and helping us keep the lights on. So we give something back to one or two, as it was this month, 2 people every month. So this month's loot drop was a copy of PGA 2K21. We also had a 3-month Game Pass PC code that we gave away too. So Bacon Chin won the Game Pass code yesterday, and Ian won the copy of PGA 2K21. We announced them both on the stream yesterday, so if Bacon Chin, if you're in, I'm not sure, he tends to drop in a bit later on if he does. He's not often here at the beginning, I think. But yeah, if you hear Bacon Chin, we have sent you a message on Discord, so you have that. Gagad, good morning, dude. Tito says, that looks saw. Morning, Chucky. How's things? I was in Chucky's stream at like midnight-ish last night as he was ploughing his way through some Michael.
Excuse me?
He's a tiger.
Excuse me.
He's a tiger.
You can't Chucky on the job.
I got hit by one on the shoulder before killer. See, it's not for me. Cricket and golf, you are literally throwing bricks around.
Well, no, at cricket, I get what you're saying with cricket because you are literally trying to dodge a ball that's coming at you about 100 mile an hour, and it's made. Is it cork? It's made out of
brick.
Yeah,
it's
literally throwing it. Yeah,
fire brick.
So you're trying to hit a very small ball with a pretty big bat. If you miss it, it's gonna hurt. Whereas, what are the chances of you getting hit by a golf ball? Like, well, yeah. But the thing is, it was completely unintentional, and I was so close to him that it hit a tree and then come back at me. Do you know what I mean? What are the chances of it hitting a tree at a certain angle to come back and hit you? It's got to be extremely low.
Talking chances, from my perspective, 100%. Because players no golf, 0 damage. Players golf, absolute damage. So at this rate, if you play golf, 100% damage rate. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
And to be fair, because I've been playing constantly for like the last 7 months, if I'd have taken my first injury 7 months later, I would have that every single day.
Yeah. I don't mind hitting a golf ball. I don't want to walk after it. I would probably be that person that managed to hurt himself in a driving range. I'd scuff it, hit the side, and it'd ping off in it there. But cricket, I was never really going to play cricket anyway, but
I love cricket.
My cousin used to play for a cricket team, so I went up to his house and he's like, "Do you fancy going playing cricket? Need to do warm-up. I've got a game tomorrow." I was like, yeah, that's nice. Anyway, first ball, someone bowled like the jumpy cricket. Throw, that's what it looks like, by the way.
It's a good impression.
So, yeah, nailed it. Speaking about being nailed, Richard, who was batting, smack straight in the head, out cold on the floor. The first ball, I was like, well, this isn't a sport for me. I mean, at least in boxing, you're going to get hit in the head. You expect it.
Well, I think the only sport then, if that's the case, that I think you should take up, dressage. Or badminton.
Dressage? That's a fucking horse with metal feet.
What's the one with the ribbon? Is that not dressage as well? No.
I don't know what that. I know it, like the.
Yeah. But then again, you stub your toe and then you fuck then, aren't you?
I'd fall and stab myself with a stick. Or it won't even be that. I'd be there like spinning.
Yeah, badminton then, a very small, soft shell falling out of the sky.
Do you know, I'll play all sports but digitally on a console.
There you go. Perfect.
That's the one. Ian says whoop whoop. Ferno, hey Lewis, how's things, dude? It says back in the studio. What does hooga?
Away.
How are you guys?
How are you guys? I mean, he's Scottish, he's not Geordie. I don't know why I'll come up with that. But...
Tiger Bibs in the flesh. Yeah, I mean, literally.
On my flesh, yeah.
Football, golf, darts, snooker, pool, they're the ones I play. Cricket, no tar. See, football, yes, I mean, you're probably more likely to get injured in football than golf, to be fair. Darts, I mean, this is where my logic becomes flawed, because I'd happily throw a pointy stick. But yeah, a round break, no. Snooker and pool, I'll take that. I mean, pool more than snooker because got a long pot, and that's what snooker is, but yeah. And getting hit with a shuttlecock is fucking sore. What you do on your weekend?
It's absolutely none of our business.
Tito says, playing rounders in high school for the first time, I was batting and hit the ball, started running, and everyone started shouting, "Drop the bat!" So I chucked it behind me, managed to spark out the girl waiting behind me.
The camera just went off.
It went. We're back. Are we still here?
But those are the stories. That up there with the bat being thrown behind you and someone's head getting taken off is right up there with teachers saying, "Don't rock in your fucking chair because you're gonna fall back." There was always a kid in someone's school who had his head cracked open who had to go to hospital for 3 weeks because he was rocking on the chair. That is definitely up there.
I went to school with complete tangent. I'll throw in first. One of the 7/7 bombers in London, the kid that blew up King's Cross.
That's a great claim to fame.
Lovely. Anyway, before he was an atrocious, nasty person, he was actually a nice kid for a few years. And anyway, he was sat on his chair, chilling out. He was a big bloke, laid back on his chair, and the chair went from underneath him. But he just kind of like, his legs went around the side of the chair, and he just kind of like absolutely styled it out, because the teacher was like, "Jermaine, stop rocking on your chair. And he was like holding on back onto the desk like that. The chair went as the teacher was looking at the board. So the chair laid flat, and he just kind of like went onto the table like that. And the teacher turned around and went, "What?" Just carried on, just picked up his chair. It was absolute gold.
There's nothing funnier than someone falling over, though. Like, there's a lot of things in life that makes me laugh, but somebody falling over is
because you don't know us at all. We laugh when no people fall.
But there is literally nothing funnier than someone falling over. You could watch, especially when they try to catch the balance, whether or not they're running and their arms are coming behind them.
It's the push off the net. What? It's like, what are you doing? I'm just gonna.
Or if someone's on ice and they're like...
it's the insta-right, like the feet going, it's the...
But there is nothing funnier than someone falling over or getting off balance somehow. It's just always amazing.
Incredible. Ferno says, I regret that as soon as I sent it. When you say anything with the word cock in it, it's always... This is Twitch. I've broken a rib playing rounders. I was in my 30s at the time, playing my wife's primary school class. GG's. Playing cricket at school with a bright blue bat and bright orange ball. Went to twat the ball and hit a kid behind me because he stood too close, broke his nose.
Whose fault was that? He was in the wrong there.
I did boxing for 2 years. Great Christmas job. You did boxing for a Christmas job? What the fuck?
Was he the punch bag?
I don't know. How we doing, lads? Cameron, just got in from uni for this to be on bonus.
Great style.
Yeah, nice. Graham once kicked me off the bus seat and I bounced. That's true. I'm sure I've said this on the scoop before. Me and David used to get the bus to school and, well, he's my older brother. Sometimes older brothers can be a pain in the ass, and he was being a dick to me when we sat, like, pretty much the front seat of the bus, and the bus was packed full of kids from school all the way down, and David was being a dick, and the bus was turning. You know, it's like when you turn in the bus, it's like, whoa, you lean. The bus was turning my way, so basically David was leaning out into the aisle, and I waited, and as soon as the bus started leaning, I went, doof, nudged him like that, straight off the seat into the aisle. Everyone on the bus was like, ah!
You see, the moral of that story is, I'm the older brother. So... I'm not the annoying. To me, I'm not annoying. To be fair, I know I'm fucking annoying, and our kid, both of them, fucking. I'm sure they hate it, but I absolutely love it. So,
well, David flattened me, and I flattened him a few times. But
how much older is it than you?
3 years.
Oh, see, that's not a lot. See, I'm 15 years older than my brother, and I'm 2 years older than my sister.
15 years old, you're pretty much an adult before he can have banter. So you should have been a bigger person about it, babe.
Well, no, he's taller than me now.
I know, I don't mean physically.
Yeah, he's going to be a specimen. He's nearly 15 and he's taller than me. He's a fucking... I don't know what mum's been feeding him. But...
Miracle Grow. Ads says, I was a better boxer than AJ. AJ from the local chippy. Morning, Baxter. How's things, dude?
Hey,
it's
Baxter.
Been a while.
How's it going, pal?
Anyway, you're all here just in time for us to jump into the scoop. We've had a bit of a chat. Let's jump into the news. We have a few stories for you today, including some on the video games that are coming, plus the consoles that are just about to land as well. And we're starting off with a news article focusing on Xbox as... Is it Game Frame? It's Game Frame. I think it's Game Frame. I can't remember. There we go. Yeah. Let's move us out of the way.
The site is so bad for stuff like that, left-hand side.
Oh yeah, because the news is on the right, which is bizarre.
I don't understand it, but here we are.
So this is written by Tom Ivan for VGC, and the article says Xbox boss. No, my God, Xbox boss. I was
great start.
I was fucking that up before we went live as well.
Tooth just got fucking flying out. He just lost his front tooth.
We were sat there, and we were going live, and I was going Xbox no, not Xbox boss. Okay, Xbox. No, not Xbox. Fucking the first thing I said as soon as we start. Okay, box boss. No, the Xbox boss. There we go. Thinks 8K might never be the standard in video games. Thank fuck for that, because if we know his opinion, we don't need to say Xbox boss ever again. Phil Spencer also says ray tracing probably yet to live up to its promise. Once again, this is written by Tom Ivan for VGC, and the article says Xbox. Oh my God, starting again. Look at it, Xbox boss.
Just what Big Phil. Look.
At P3 Xbox, or whatever his Twitter is, believes it will be a long time before 8K resolution becomes standard in video games, if indeed it ever does. Microsoft's more powerful upcoming next-gen console, the Xbox Series X, is able to run games at true 4K and can also output 8K resolution for some content. But in an interview with Wired, Spencer cast doubt on whether 8K will ever be widely adopted in games. I think 8K is aspirational technology, he said. The display capabilities of devices are not really there yet. I think we're years away from 8K being, if it ever is, standard in video games. Liz Hamron, head of gaming engineering at Xbox, also suggested to The Wired that not as many people have 4K TVs as AAA publishers might believe. The £449 Xbox Series X and £249 Xbox Series S are both scheduled to launch on November the 10th, 2020. Both consoles will support ray tracing, which promises to deliver true-to-life lighting, accurate reflections, and realistic acoustics in real time as you explore the game world, according to Microsoft. When Wired put it to Spencer that ray tracing has failed to deliver on its promise so far, he agreed that was probably right. Spencer added, "When I think about games where tracing has had a dramatic impact on my experience as a player, it's kind of spotty. Series S will run games natively at 1440p and up to 120 FPS. It's also capable of running games at upscaled 4K and can stream media at the higher resolution." So, 8K has the potential to never be the standard in games, according to Phil Spencer, and ray tracing isn't hitting the mark. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm gonna throw the question back to you in a minute as someone who I don't really give no fewer words a shit about what graphics look like, as long as I've said this on the show many times, as long as the gameplay's solid, storyline's good, and it's an enjoyable game, the graphics to me highly irrelevant. However, it's interesting now that he said about the ray tracing being spotty and that it's not been prominent in enough games, or potentially may not be prominent in games going forward until maybe a few years down the line, I imagine. Wasn't that one of the biggest selling points for brand new graphics cards for your PC and also these consoles coming out?
RTX on.
Yeah, all the time. Not only that, all the teraflops that make it a more powerful system to be able to output the greatest resolution and the more breathtaking graphics.
The Xbox box never said that.
So yeah, it's interesting that I don't want to say he's changed his tune, because it didn't say that. It just said it was probably when I think about games that had ray tracing has its dramatic impact on my experience as a player, it's kind of spotty, which means that the games that have been produced so far that have RTX on isn't as prominent as he would have imagined. That said, he hasn't really mentioned anything about games that are going to be coming out going forward, so hopefully from his perspective, because of the way that they tried to sell these consoles, having the best resolution, the best graphics, ray tracing, teraflops, all that shit going forward, if you made a promise about that and what it can output, you expect them to take a full advantage of that. That's what they've used to try and sell these consoles. So I don't think he's put himself in a dodgy situation there. I do think he's kind of shot himself in the foot a little bit, just maybe in a toe rather than the entire foot. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not too sure, but where I'm leading to this is when it comes to video games, from my perspective, I will play any game, past, present, or in the future, that potentially will give me satisfaction with the way that the game plays. I'm not asked about what it looks like. I had this conversation with Asim not long ago, actually, about the graphics. The graphics for me are not the be-all and end-all. There's a reason I still go back and play games on PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, because a lot of the games that I played back then still hold up now. Graphically, back then, they was really, really good. Now, they obviously are a little bit dated. But for someone like yourself, and you mentioned this quite a few times before, that you are a man that likes to play games that are beautiful, and you find it quite difficult to be able to go back and play
the more
games.
beautiful a game is, the more it will draw me in. I think that's the same thing with most people, but I do have kind of a cut-off point, and maybe that's like high-end PS2. If anything looks older than that, I tend to not exclusively, but I will tend to probably cut it off at that point. I won't tend to go back and play many PS1 games or SNES games. It's a SNES, not an SNES. Don't care what you say. Or NES, or anything like that.
Well, Farian Drake, thank you very much for the raid. You absolute legend.
He says Bib's got a haircut.
Hey.
Good morning, everyone. Dropping from Farian Drake's stream as well. Good morning. What we've been playing? Conqueror's Blade. Is it Conqueror's Blade?
It's absolutely Conqueror's Blade, isn't it?
It's got to be. Hey, welcome in. Can't remember what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I will go back and play older things, but it's not for the same thing. So if I sit down and play PUBG, it's for fun. If I sit down and play Mafia with Danielle, bearing in mind Mafia 2 is an older game, I'm playing that for fun. We're going to finish Mafia this week and then start Mafia 3 for fun. That's a remade game, that's modern stuff. But if I go back and play Mario Kart, it's for fun but with a hint of nostalgia. Usually something like that. So when we played old school PES, it wasn't just me sitting down and playing it for fun. It was me trying to capture. There's always for me. There's always to step back. There has to be that extra level of novelty for me. Whereas obviously you do it for that level of immersion, that enjoyment. But I don't get the same level of immersion. So yes, visuals are important to an extent. I can agree with him saying 8K. I would agree and say 8K doesn't need to be standard. 1080p is more than enough. 4K, wonderful. 8K, we're not even at 4K yet, so 8K, he said it might never be standard. It absolutely will be. 20 years' time, it will be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Who'd have thought 25 years ago that people would have a HD-ready 1080p TV in the front room, never mind a 4K one. Do you have a 4K TV?
Yeah, but only in the last year or two or something.
Which one?
My living room TV.
Right, okay, yeah, so the one that you play your PlayStation on in like when we stream and stuff like that isn't a 4K one, is it?
1080. I went for higher frames rather than...
Yeah, so when the new console comes out, me and you will be, unless we're playing it in the front... I mean, I don't even have a 4K TV in the house. That's something that, obviously, at some point I really want to get something like that, even if it's in the front room. Like at the moment now I'm playing Mafia in the front room. If I was able to play that in 4K on a 4K TV... in the big TV in the front room, that'd be great. I actually moved my PlayStation out of my gaming room because I wanted to experience that kind of game. Those kind of games I want to play on the big TV. So if I could play that at 4K, that'd be great at some point. But as it stands, when this new console comes and it sits in my games room, I'm not going to be playing it at 4K. I'm going to be playing it at 1080. I don't have the money to be able to splash 200 quid and go and get a 4K TV at this moment in time. It was one or the other, and I'm not just going to get a TV without the console. So I'd just much rather have the console than the TV, and then buy the TV, whatever. That's not a problem. But
yeah, I mean, you can tell the difference playing games on a 4K TV versus a 1080p. So we went from a 1080p TV and seeing the step up playing even games that aren't 4K, games that are upscaled. So I'll use PUBG as the example. Jumping onto PUBG on a 4K TV on a PS4 Pro, I noticed the difference instantly than playing PUBG on a 1080p or on a standard console. So there is clear visual upgrades, but not anything that is game breaking to that sort of essence. Yeah. So when I play PUBG on my console, my PS4 Pro, on my 1080p monitor, which is 240 hertz, obviously I'm not getting the full hertz out of that, but even on a monitor that refreshes that fast, you can see the benefit. So yeah, 8K doesn't need to be standard, because if these screens here that we have 3 screens in front of us, these are 27-inch monitors, these I think. So I would say that is when you start looking at 4K. Yeah. I've got 24.5-inch monitors. I do not need 4 times the resolution of a 1080p monitor in there. I do not need 4K at that size. It's nice to have, but at that size, frames are better. I mean, in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, you'll be able to get 4K and 240 hertz. At the moment, you can't without paying stupid money. So there's no real need for that there. So anyway, going back to Phil Spencer's comment, 8K might never be the standard in video games. I think it will do, just because technology moves, things become cheaper. It will be more cost effective in 20 years' time to make 8K panels than it will be to make 1080p panels, because nobody wants 1080p panels anymore. So therefore, we're making them in less quantity, so therefore they cost more per part, whereas 8K, we're making shitloads. So 8K will become the standard, just might not be this generation, might not be next generation, might be the generation after. So absolutely we'll get there. But yeah, I agree with the comment in this saying something about the publishers might not... But there we go. The head of gaming engineer at Xbox also suggested to Wired that not as many people have 4K TVs as AAA publishers might believe. That is true.
I agree.
We do have one in the house, but Chloe plays on her PlayStation on a 1080p Sony Bravia thing. Really good TV. No reason to get rid of it because it's Sony Bravia. Yeah, it's 10 years old or whatever, but it's just on the cusp of smart TV. But she's got everything she needs in it with a skybox and a console and everything there, so she doesn't need to be jumped up just yet. When we get to that point when we need it, it's fine. But let's jump back into this again then. Ray tracing has been spotty at best so far. I mean, that's one thing you don't need 4K for. Ray tracing can work on 1080p, so surely that would be where the focus goes anyway.
Yeah, I'd be interested. Like, you said 8K is not as standard now. Is 4K as standard? Do you think it's accessible for everyone? Because for me, the word standard means accessible for everyone.
I don't think so. I reckon with that saying that they don't believe that 4K is widely available, not as much as publishers believe. I think 4K as standard. We're still not at that point. I think 1080p should and will probably be the standard. I mean, it's not necessarily the ceiling, but that will be the standard.
Well, 1080p now is the standard, isn't it? Because with the HDMI cable, there isn't many TVs now that get made with a SCART, and you can't play your PlayStation 4 via SCART. So for me, the PlayStation 4 is the 1080p standard.
Just need to go on a complete tangent here. Danielle's just got a new monitor at home, and I was looking at the reviews on Amazon, and someone give it a 1 out of 5 because they bought it and it didn't have a SCART socket. Bear in mind the monitor was this thick. It didn't have a SCART. SCARTs, what? So I was just absolutely jogging my memory because I've not heard the word SCART in about 5 years, and I've heard it twice in a week. Although we were talking about it last week, to be fair.
Yeah, with the TV upstairs,
the WWE Spanish announce table.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, obviously, if you are, I mean, I know that Chucky's in it, and I know I haven't spoken to Chappers about this, but we have a Retro Pez group, so there's me, Shales, Chucky, those lads in there. And Shales is probably the only man in this world that would be on Facebook Marketplace looking for old Sony TVs. Is it the Trinitron?
Trinitron.
Yeah, the Trinitron. So that he could try and get the best picture for his PlayStation 1.
He was the first person that responded to the WWE Spanish announcing monitor thing last week as well.
So it's like one of the things that either you're in or you're absolutely out. And
can you see the steam on that brew?
Yes, I can.
That brew was made at 7:30 this morning.
Jesus Christ.
To keep drinking it going.
I mean, there's a bit of Twitch branding there. I mean, you're not even showing it on the screen. This is an absolute disgrace. There's Twitch partners.
Yeah, there you go.
Can you see it?
Ish.
You can see the light on the back. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to speak to you about that because that is dynamite. I think that will actually fit in my... I need to get a certain type of cup to fit in my door well.
It will, pretty much, because it fits in mine. But it's really good because you get the clicky, drinky lid. Absolute spawn, by the way. Full-on spawn. Cheers to Twitch for sponsoring it. They didn't, but they can do. So you get that lid, which is the normal clicky coffee lid, but it's also just got a flat screw-on lid with a hole for a straw, and then it comes with 2 straws as well. So if you want, so it keeps your hot drinks hot and your cold drinks cold.
That is amazing. You see, I've got one in the fridge that's got my milk in because I brought all brand with me today. I haven't had it yet. I'm fucking starving. But it's like one of them £30 ones that very similar to that actually. So it keeps it really warm. So that's the one that I take to golf with me if I'm having a brew because I'll make it in the morning and drink it fucking on the 18th or whatever. But I need one of them. I think for the commute because that one doesn't fit in my door well.
I'm fairly sure it's from Amazon's like Twitch store. Danielle bought it me for our anniversary last week, so cheers, babe. It's good. It works very well. It's the first time I've used it for a hot drink. I used it yesterday, although I didn't really make a point of it when we were on stream yesterday drinking cold water out of it. It kept it cold, and today now, yeah. Anyway, let's jump back through the chat rather than the sponsored segment, which wasn't sponsored but could be sponsored.
It's flying today, the chat. Thank you everyone for getting involved. I appreciate you all.
Tito says, I was started on by the hard lad... Oh, this is going back to the school stories. I was started on by the hard lad of the year, travelling back on the top deck of our school double-decker bus. I put his head through the window, defending myself, knocking the whole window pane on the pavement below. Unlucky! I was so lucky in hindsight. Yeah, he was lucky as well. He almost went, oh, wee! Ad says it won't, 10k will. Mr. T says, Xbox box.
Yes,
cheers,
Xbox
Mr. T. Big Phil, ray tracing, is that the new Reggie singer? Do you mean reggae? Ban him, that was dreadful, says Lewis. Do you know what? Ben Hammer. If his ray tracing is spotty, you should probably get that looked at. Ads is on fire, literally. Someone had just set him on fire for those jackets. Literally, the heating's on here. Fucking hell, lads, you're having a nightmare. Yeah. Baby's talking about breast-taking graphics, and I'm talking about Xbox box or Xbox box. Or
I mean, what's the kind of conversation? This is the kind of shit that you sign up for in the morning. There's a reason why a lot of people have got ice cream cones next to the name, because they're here for these fucking great chats that we have.
Yeah, they're all breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking. To be fair, we often make a tit of ourselves. So there you go. Yeah. Same jokes. Fine. Gameplay is better than graphics for me, says Chappers. 100% agree. Although I do need to have that threshold of graphics. It's the only reason I don't tend to play many mobile games, because the top end of mobile games can be pretty good, but for what I need graphically, mobile games will have to be very simple. And using PUBG as an example of that, PUBG has all of the stuff that the main game has, the console or the PC game has, and more maps, more content, but the gameplay within it is just not at that level. That's because it's such a big game. There's so much going on.
Do you think though that's because it's a touch screen? If you was to play that game on a controller and you was allowed to, because you're not allowed to, obviously for reasons, because you're playing a ranked game with a controller. If you could play PUBG mobile with a controller,
I'd probably enjoy it.
Yeah, so if you had a clip that you could attach your PS4 controller to,
still the graphics would lose me. So if I was sat at home, no, that's what I mean. I'm not saying they are, but they just you can tell if you're in Sosnovka military base, that's Sosnovka military base. If you're in Pachinki, that's Pachinki. You know exactly what it is. All the stuff looks the same. All the models and stuff are all the same sort of stuff. But I'm just going to sit there unless I'm not at home. If I'm at home, there's no way I'm going to play that over a console version. It's, and even like some people are like, yeah, if you just sit on the couch and you might just get your phone out and have a game, job's good. But even that, the visuals are enough to make me go, do you know what? I'd rather just stand up, put my slippers on, mooch upstairs, turn on the PC and do that way. I'd rather do that than playing it on my mobile. Yeah. The convenience doesn't outweigh the graphics in that game, but other games that doesn't have to do as much can use because obviously phones only have so much processing power, but they still have quite a bit. Other games that aren't as big and open world, it can be really good and can work really well, which is where I sunk time into the frigging Angry Birds and Cut the Rope and other mobile games that were mobile design games and good time sinks back in the day, because they have that graphical fidelity.
I'm still waiting for, it'll never happen, 2 games, PUBG Mobile to come to the Switch. How that hasn't ended up on the Switch yet, I have absolutely no idea. Do they realise how much take my idea, this is a license to print money. Put your fucking game on the Nintendo Switch. I don't understand how it's not there. They would make a fuck ton of money and it would be the perfect game to be able to put on that. Second one, how have we not got Pro Evo on there? Not just the base game, put the mobile version on there if you need to. The mobile version is an actual decent game. Underneath everything, it's just My Club, but on your mobile, put it on there. Again, it's just a license to print money when it comes to that stuff. I don't like playing the PES on mobile because of the touch controls. My fingers are too fat and my hands are too big to be able to play mobile games properly. I've seen Tito in there about the Razer Kishi controller. You can't play that with PUBG Mobile. As far as I'm aware, it blocks it. It doesn't let you play it. Unless you was to root your phone to try and get out around from that, but then you're probably going to get your account banned.
We actually had a couple of Razer Kishis. We were going to do some stuff with it, but annoyingly we got 2 Android versions as opposed to an iOS one, so we couldn't do it in the end. But yeah, I mean, stuff like that would absolutely, having a Razer Kishi, especially the fact that you can just go whoop, put your phone in it and whoop, that's it, job's good, and is more likely to make me enjoy mobile games, but it still doesn't get me past the graphical threshold. And that's what I'm saying. When I said PS2 era-ish, mobile games, and this is very generalising, at that top end are still around that PS2 sort of graphical fidelity. Kind of, you play a game like PUBG, looks more like, say PS2, this is probably contradicting that a little bit. PUBG looks more like Metal Gear Solid rather than Metal Gear Solid 2 in terms of the buildings being square and pixelated a bit and stuff like that.
Because I've recently obviously played PUBG Mobile when I had that controller, or I attempted to. I didn't think the graphics were as bad as you're making them out to be. I would easily say that was a high-end PS3 game.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you play like GameCube games. Like,
oh yeah, no, that like yeah. I mean, to be fair, when you're playing the likes of Winning 11-6, the English version, you're playing with nationwide leagues and stuff like that, and it looks as good as it did. Compare it to me playing Pro Evo 3 on my PlayStation 2. They're completely different games, but yeah, I would honestly think. I mean, there is settings on there, low, medium, and high, and I was playing on high. I've got a Huawei P30 Pro, so I've got more than enough power to be able to.
But if you were to put that against, not even PC, but put that against PS4 Pro version of the game, then it's a considerable jump.
Oh yeah, against the Pro version, but I would argue that
even the normal console version.
I don't know.
I
don't know. I mean, I haven't played enough of it to be able to.
I can tell instantly if I open up a stream and someone's playing PUBG Mobile versus PUBG Console versus PC. Console and PC, it's a bit more. Quite often people go, "Is this console or PC?" Whereas if it's a mobile stream, you know, not just for the UI stuff as well, but you know from looking at it, the textures. The step down in textures. I mean, not saying it's bad. I have it installed. It's the last mobile game I played. Granted, that was Resonate last year or wherever it was.
On the way back from
and I do enjoy playing the game when I'm playing it. Actually, I played it at E3 last year. Me and Lee was sat outside our hotel, kind of thing, like, yeah, win. Yeah, it was like, yeah, they're all bots.
They're all bots. 17 kill game.
So I don't think it looks bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's incredible how good it is to have 100 people dropping into a mobile game, whereas if you think 10 years ago, you couldn't even play a knockoff FIFA on a mobile game, whereas you can play a 100-player Battle Royale on mobile and still have it be very, very similar to the console experience. It's not as good, and I instantly see that and go, I will take the step down in quality for the accessibility, but if I'm at home, the accessibility isn't enough to stop me getting off the couch. I would get upstairs and go to at the console or the PC. I mean, if we're sat in the living room and the controller was in the living room and the PlayStation was in the living room, like it was, then it definitely wouldn't get my attention because I'd just pick up the controller.
Does it not piss you off that a lot of the PUBG stuff on mobile? For when I logged on, the amount of stuff that was available to me, whether or not it was the Battle Pass or the little objective missions, not the Battle Pass ones, but there was different ones as well. Like, there's so much more. I don't know if it's because it's more accessible, and again, that's that word, accessible. Everyone can play it, whether or not you're on a tablet, whether or not you're on a phone, whether or not you're using BlueStacks on your PC and you want to be able to play it on that. There is a lot more to do in the mobile version of the game than there is on the main one, which is an absolute nightmare. How is that even allowed?
Different development teams. That is, the mobile game is developed by Tencent. Which obviously is a big shareholder, if not the controlling shareholder in PUBG Corp, but the console and PC game is developed by PUBG Corp, so different developers. Same sort of production ideas at the basis, but there is so much more content, and that is where the benefit of mobile comes in, because it's much quicker and easier to develop for a mobile environment in that sort of sense, especially if you've got everything kind of mapped out for you by the console games. But mobile is light years ahead of what it can do in terms of what it can offer customers, how to monetize customers. And when I say monetize, I don't mean necessarily take people's money off them, but monetize their time. So how I can give you stuff that will make you give me your time. Having your time is useful for me because it adds to all sorts of stats on to the video game, but the more time you spend in the game, the more likely you are to put money into it as well. So mobile games, I mean, in that sense, I won't play it because I have a visually superior version. So the graphics, that's why graphics are important to me, but gameplay is important too, and PUBG arguably has better gameplay in that sense. If you don't factor in the gunplay and all of the stuff that, mobile as a casual experience offers you much, and it's probably not fair to say casual experience either, but offers much more than the console.
But like for me, if me and you was to go to another conference again, and I had the ability to be able to plug my phone into a controller somehow, whether it's Bluetooth or whatever it is, and be able to play PUBG at that good level, for say we're away for a week at Gamescom or something like that, that would be amazing to be able to play, because again, it's accessible for everyone. I've got my controller. We're having a good time. That would tempt me to be able to buy the Battle Pass for I bought the Battle Pass for the PlayStation 1, and I probably put, 7 to 10 hours, if that, into using that Battle Pass, but I was enjoying it at the time. Do you know what I mean? So that was worth my time and money.
It's £1 an hour.
Yeah, well, it was worth my money because of the time that I had with it. So it doesn't matter how much it is. You have to weigh up the pros and cons. For a Battle Pass, it's £7. And I played it for 10 hours, managed to tick out a lot of my objectives off over the days that we was playing. That for me is obviously worthwhile, but yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of mobile gaming. It's accessible for absolutely everyone who might not... Like, a lot of people who haven't been able to play Pro Evo on the new consoles, whether or not they've not got one or they just didn't want to buy it, they could play My Club on your mobile if you was a mobile gamer. That's the beauty of it. Again, it's accessible, it's open to absolutely everybody. I'm not a mobile gamer by any stretch of the imagination. My peak mobile playing days was New Star Soccer, do you know what I mean?
Quality game, by the way. Quality game.
Yeah,
Quality
absolutely amazing game. So that was kind of like my peak mobile days.
Well, let's jump into the chat. I'm going to use this because the dashboard auto scrolls for me. So is this the mouse for the chatty PC?
What colour is it? No, that's mine. The other one's over there.
Sorry, I'll just use this then. I was jumping back up because there's a conversation started in the chat. Tharian Drake also said, "Yes, sir, it's a solid game." So I'm assuming that's Conqueror's Blade. I don't know.
Jesus, there's been a lot going on, hasn't there?
So, the chat moving so fast. Graphics don't mean squat as long as the gameplay is fun. Probably biased as a retro head.
Was that Chucky?
Yeah.
What's?
Tharian says, "Look at Monkey Island." Asim says, "I'm on both sides. I appreciate a good game with lesser visuals. I appreciate a good game with lesser quote marks visuals and detailed 4K visuals." See, that's it. I do too. I will say, like, for me, there is a cut off in graphics, but not always. There is. I mean, I've played through Metal Gear Solid 3 1,000 times, but that's arguably well above my cut off kind of thing there. Chapper says, "I have more fun on PES 6 putting a Labrador head on Nikola Zigic than I did on Red Dead Redemption 2 or Far Cry 5. Both absolute gorgeous games with zero redeeming gameplay."
I disagree about Far Cry 5 because I actually enjoy that. I'm having a good time with Far Cry. I've not played it for a couple of weeks, but I'm enjoying that. It's it's a different version of Far Cry, but I'm enjoying it.
Thorn Drake says, "Sure, it's nostalgia for me now, but it makes me want to do a lot more point and click to see what I missed as a kid."
Oof. I used to love point and click games.
I think it also comes down to game mechanics too. That's a big part of it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, some games age well, graphically or not, but some games can age well graphically and still be clunky as feck.
That's why a lot of people won't go back and play Resident Evil. I use that as an example, not because I absolutely adore that game, but just because of the tank controls from what we've got now compared to what we had 20 years ago. No one liked, unless you was absolutely familiar with the tank controls back then, you ain't gonna go back and play that shit now.
Yeah, you've mentioned that to me a few times. Chappers says, "The ideal thing is beautiful games which are fun, like Spider-Man on PS4. I mean, that would be the ideal. Something that's got all of the resolutions and is fun. That would be nice. But the downside with all of the resolutions is having that fully beautiful thing kind of loses a lot of the character of what some people like from older games as well. So that's ideals, but from one perspective. Tito says, "No 4K TV. Bibby needs a pay rise."
Tito, can you send me an email, please, with that in writing?
To be fair, Bibby did get a pay rise for 4K TV. He just spent it on a new golf set and then got hit in the balls with a ball. When I played PUBG with friends, having a 1X with a 4K TV, I could spot enemies easier than my friends.
You had a good story about that, didn't you? About you and Craig Pitt. One of you was playing on the Xbox One X, one of you was playing on the S.
It was when we were in the studio and we were streaming it. I had the 1X, and I think he was just using a standard Xbox at that point in time. Or maybe it was a standard Xbox in the S. I can't remember which way it was, but yeah, I was seeing buildings like pow, and he was watching like plasticine. It was like he was on.
It's mental, isn't it?
The Mos Eisley Cantina in Star Wars.
Both on the same server, playing the same match on the same team, and yours loads up quicker.
Local rendering. Asim says, "I just like good games. If the visuals are mind-blowing, all the better for it." On this topic, the Xbox box is right. 8K is a pipe dream for games right now. 4K 60 FPS is the ceiling for a good few years. You go 8K now, things like detail, FPS and quality will lower. 100%. 1080, like I say, 1080p is the norm. 4K is the ceiling. Yeah. People are struggling to get through the ceiling. You can go through the ceiling and you've got the stars and all of that shit. That's it. 8K is the stars. 4K is the ceiling. 1080p is the ground where we're all.
I think the PlayStation 4 introduced us to 1080p being the standard. Again, because they didn't have a scale. There was no other way of playing it. It was HDMI or nothing. But a lot of people, obviously, by then have had an HD TV. So having that as a standard, there's a reason why we're going to be getting a new console with a HDMI port out and nothing. Like, is there 4K HDMI cables?
Yeah. HDMI 2.1 will do 4K, 8K.
Yeah.
So I told everyone last generation, you don't need a new HDMI cable. When you buy a TV, they tell you get this one, it's got gold plates, which is better for connections, and it's not. They're just absolutely fleecing you. I mean, you can get shit HDMI cables, just like you can get a shit phone cable, which charges your phone over hours. As long as you've got a decent one, you're fine. However, if you want full pass-through up to 8K and all that, you're going to need HDMI 2.1 for that to fully work.
No SCART.
Exactly.
Rip.
Get out of here. Chapper says, to me, this is like when HD was first out and everyone was saying HD won't kick on because it costs £600 for a TV with HD capability. Says,
but how long did that take for that to
Who the hell
happen,
uses that nowadays?
But how long did it take for HD TVs to become a standard in a lot of people's houses?
If you say a TV has a 7 to 10 year life cycle, like a console does, I would say it at least takes that.
Yeah.
Because my mum, for example, was going to buy a HD TV, and I was hyped. I think I mentioned this previously before. We went to the store, and it was the exact same, like Samsung TV or whatever it was, and it looked exactly the same. Everything from the outside was the same, but it was like, okay, we'll give you the one that you wanted. It's supposed to be in stock, but it's not in stock. We do have one that looks exactly the same, and I'll give you £150 off if you want that one. The difference is it's not HD. My mum was like, yeah, I'll take that, whatever, and I was like.
She saved herself £150 and she got a TV that looks the same, but all the interior is completely different.
Yeah, gutted. Anyway, so that meant that she was in that for another 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And she has a HD TV now. But yeah, she's not got a 4K TV yet, and it's going to be the same until that TV dies before she gets the 4K one. And that's the same. Chapper says, and now you get HD capability on fucking fridges. The 8K...
Like Skyrim on one.
Yeah. Pregnancy test. What was it? Doom on a pregnancy test.
Yeah.
The 8K... Oh, it's gone... chat moving fast.
That's Beans redeeming posture check.
God damn it, Beans. I would sit up, but you can't in these seats. The 8K panels TV sets are already out and will continue to come out, but what Phil says is saying here is huge for 8K games is way off. Huge difference. I agree. I need one of those mugs. Do it. Amazon. Bean says mobile gamers aren't real gamers. Kappa. And then he drops in the Kappa emote because that's what he meant.
Well, reading the chat, it looks like he's throwing a pipe bomb and fucked off.
Beans was doing it with Kappa, but it's like it's Chappers that's thrown in the pipe bomb. Mobile games ruined gaming. Changed my mind. Because Candy Crush being a top-grossing free-to-play game with microtransactions told EA, Konami, and 2K that they could just whack horrible, predatory MTX into every £60 game. Asim says disagree. Interesting as well, because Asim has worked with all three of those companies and worked for two of them. So this is where obviously the discussion is going to start. Disagree. They've opened up gaming to the mass, made it mainstream. Microtransactions, which is MTX, I personally don't like or engage with, but on the whole, mobile gaming has increased the reach of gaming. Chapper says AAA publishers putting free-to-play mobile game mechanics into full-price games is absolutely disgraceful, and you'll never convince me otherwise. And Clash of Clans type waiting sims opened that up to the masses. Asim says, I think you should read what I said, Chappers. David says, I don't know why I heard Rikishi in my mind. I just didn't see a controller adapter and just saw Rikishi from WWE. We were having that banter when we got them. I read what you said. I can't look past the fact that free-to-play was a mobile game way to earn money, and because they're raking shit tons, it's convinced these suits who know fuck all about games to want devs putting it into every game. There's no reason for NBA 2K, my career, to have microtransactions that you can buy for $79.99 other than suits looking at Candy Crush and wanting some of that pie, despite charging £60 for the game at launch. Tito says, I agree, Chappers, but it's down to the consumer to reject them. I hate seeing people say they disagree with things like Konami and their featured iconic moments plays, but then spend £70 on coins. There wasn't a market, there wouldn't exist, and I'm guilty, and I'm as guilty and hypocritical. Asim says, if it wasn't for mobile gaming, the industry wouldn't be the behemoth it is now. That's not even an opinion, it's fact. I'm speaking for someone who doesn't care for MTX or mobile games, but yet see how it's opened up the industry. Chapper says, not blaming devs for it, by the way, nor am I specifically blaming mobile games for it, but because everyone needs to make money and they're reachable, I'm blaming top brass fat cats for forcing it, but the mobile model is what 2K and EA and Konami are trying to force down our throats. I think that's Chapper's. Tito says, I think the issue is microtransactions is the basis for many AAA games. It's not in addition to the gameplay, it's from the ground up. Now, Asim saying, different discussion now. I could type and say things for days, but you have your opinion and won't be shifted. That's cool. Yeah, just part of my opinion, really. It's my most stubborn take. That's fine. I'm not going to get into the microtransaction debate because that's not what lads were discussing. It's a far more nuanced discussion than I'm right and you're wrong. Although we are right and you're wrong, by the way. Just going to say we are. I can't remember what we're talking about, but we're right on it. And the facts are breathtaking.
Yeah, I agree.
The Xbox box then.
Yeah.
No, the good.
The
Everyone has.
microtransaction thing is literally like that's a 2-hour podcast on its own. Absolutely, I agree with that.
We've had it whenever we've gone on microtransactions. We've gone on for hours and hours before, which we're on the verge of doing now. We're still on the first story, 57 minutes in. So yeah, I agree with everyone's points in there to an extent. Everyone's no one is right, no one is wrong. As Asim said, it's far more nuanced than that. Mobile gaming and free to play is not just about making money. It's about a more balanced timeshare. Having a more balanced timeshare, people often think is anti-consumer. I'm going to say more balanced timeshare. If you put time into a game, and it's free to play, then eventually the game will have mechanics that require paying for, and you over time could pay more money into a free to play game than you would for a normal game. But if you're getting the time out of it, then you're paying for the time, and the developers you're paying the developers for their content and so on. So free to play comes from a point of balancing that timeshare, meaning rather than spending 40 quid for a game that you get a fixed amount of hours for and no additional content, you're paying for a live service game that continues keeping people in job, that keep getting content for it. So mobile gaming and all of that comes from an amazing place, and it has done amazing things to all industries. Season passes as exist now, as opposed to the DLC season passes that exist previously, is a world away from whereas DLC season passes were expensive and horrendously broken, but people would have to spend 49 quid to get access to Call of Duty maps that they'd never get to play because only 20% of people paid for the DLC and everyone else skipped the lobbies, or there wasn't enough people to play in that map, so it was just broken. All sorts of flaws and shit like that. So mobile gaming has led to some incredible advancements. Don't get me wrong, there is brands out there that do take the piss. There is, and it's the same thing with everything. But brands took the piss with season pass DLCs and having timed exclusives and having certain things only available in certain editions of the games, and that has always existed. By saying that video game companies are now milking you is a little bit rose tinted, because video game companies have always milked you. All companies milk you when they can. It's just in a different way. That's the only thing about it. But yeah, anyway, let's put a pin in that, because that is a very deep discussion in terms of there's all sorts of levels that we can jump into that.
Levels.
But do you know what? One thing that isn't going to change is video game companies wanting to make money of you. But one thing that will change, at least if you're in Japan, is how you access those video games. You may have seen this story. It came out yesterday. The version we've got is by Andy Robinson for VGC. And I can bring it on screen now. And it says, after 26 years, the PS5 will make the... I'm going to be controversial here, will make cross its default select button in Japan. It's X. It's X. I don't care if it's supposed to be cross. It's X. Get out of here. PlayStation will globally unify control settings for its next-gen console. Just in case you didn't know that, by the way, the reason I said that is officially they are triangle, circle, square, and cross officially. That's what the buttons are. No, they're not. No, they're not. So the article says PlayStation 5 is set to break with nearly 26 years of tradition in Japan and make X the default select button. Since the original PlayStation, Japan has used circle button for accept and X for cancel, as culturally X is viewed as the symbol for incorrect, while a circle is used to indicate a correct answer. It's the opposite of the Western PlayStation setup, which has always used X for accept and circle for cancel, much to Japanese players' confusion whenever Western titles are brought to their region without remapping the controls. As noted by Famitsu, because the PS4's system menu uses the global control settings, Japanese players often have to switch between using X for accept or cancel when moving from a game to the console's menus, though now it's now possible to remap the accept button. However, in a hands-on PS5 preview published this weekend, the publication confirms that X will be made the default accept button on the next-gen console, as it is with the West. We have some embedded tweets now. Wow, this is big news for UI UX. This is from Needle E on Twitter, saying PlayStation 5 will use the X button to confirm by default for all regions, including Japan, who previously used Circle to confirm for the past 26 years. Muscle memory frustration for the nearly 10 million PS users in Japan coming up. John TV says this is such a bad decision. At least make it an option you can set for yourself in the system settings. Playing PS4 games that have Circle as confirmed and then having to switch X for PS5 menu nav is going to be a nightmare. A PlayStation spokesperson reportedly said its intention was to globally unify the console's control setups, including for the Asia region, in order to avoid any confusion in the future. In an interview with 1UP in 2010, which is archived, Sony designer Teiyu Goto explained how he designed PlayStation's iconic shaped buttons. Other game companies at the time assigned alphabetical letters or colours to the buttons. We wanted something simple to remember, which is why we went with icons or symbols. I came up with the triangle, circle, X, square combination immediately afterwards, he explained. I gave each symbol a meaning and a colour. The triangle reversed the viewpoint. I had it represent one's head or direction and made it green. Square refers to a piece of paper. I had it represent menus or documents and made it pink. The circle and X represent yes or no decision making, and I made them red and blue, respectively. People thought those colours were mixed up, and I had to reinforce to management that that's what I wanted. Publications, including for Gamer, Degeki, and Watch, all had their hands on blah blah blah. We get that point. But circle and X, or cross, if you want to be official but wrong, have been changed. That's actually... It's difficult for us to really say, because my instant reaction is I like unification.
Yeah.
Everyone being on the same script is good for me. But it's easy for me to say that when they're unifying it in the way that I use it.
Well, that's the same way that I'm an absolute heathen. I don't know whether or not the rest of you guys in there are exactly the same, but I actually play FIFA buttons on Pro Evo because I couldn't switch between them. Like, if I'd be playing FIFA with my mates and then I'd go home and play Pro Evo, I'm like getting in front of goal and chipping it over the bar, do you know what I mean? So I had to choose one, and I was playing a lot more FIFA at the time with my friends in pro clubs, so it was an absolute no-brainer. Like, well, I mean, not even pro clubs, I mean, this is going back way, way, way back, when I was the only loser that played Pro Evo in my friends group. So yeah, I play FIFA buttons on Pro Evo. I cannot be the only person in the world that does that. Like, when you play FIFA, do you put Pro Evo buttons in?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Alright, so it's exactly the same, but the other way around.
My instinct, I always want to play a game how it's meant to be played. So if I play Pro Evo, I want to play Pro Evo controls. I mean, I do anyway. But if I play FIFA, I want to play FIFA controls, because that's the vision of the developers. And when I used to play FIFA back in the day, I would play with FIFA controls. But because I don't play it for long enough now, I get on goal and then chip it over the bar.
Yeah, exactly. So there's nothing worse. I'm not going to handicap myself for the glory of, smashing it over the bar when I'm 4 yards out. I mean, the games that we have upstairs in dinner time in the office, they're as heated as they could possibly be. That is a PES League World Final every single dinner time, and there is no way that I'm spewing the chance of smashing it over the bar. Boop. For the sake
Just
of
throw
playing
on goal
with
and cross
controls.
it out.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to happen.
Chapper says controversial. It is controversial. If you missed it, we're talking about PlayStation opting to make the X its default select button in Japan. Japan uses circle as their default select button until this next generation. They're going to change it to X. Chucky says, not a fan of this. I've trained my brain for years for this. Asim says, I was actually used to circle for a while on PS2 and PS3 as I had Japanese consoles. It was so jarring going back to X, which was supposed to be normal for me. Bacon Chin, good morning.
Oh,
there he is.
Because I've seen that message, I've just gone in, and thank God you've actually read the Discord. Congratulations on your big win yesterday, mate.
Yeah, loot drop winner. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Chapper says, Bibby, why? Bibby has just shocked us all with the revelation that he plays on FIFA controls. It's interesting, actually. It's a very social, not economic. It's probably more of social change. If you work at video game events and you work on a stand that has a football game on it, people will come up and play that game, and quite often people will sit down and go, can I change the controls to be super square? But it's interesting, if you look at that now, it's people my age, people that are going along with kids or whatever. Those blokes that are taking their kids are changing their buttons to PES controls. The kids are playing with FIFA controls, and that shows you that the power shift. I mean, FIFA has always outsold PES. Don't anyone ever let you say that differently. Don't get me wrong, it was closer in PES 5 and PES 6 times, but FIFA still smashed it. Anyone that tries to peddle a narrative that PES as was ever in the lead, it was never the case. But people that played football played PES, and now it's not as apparent in that. So if you play at an event now, all the kids will come up and they'll just sit down and play FIFA controls. They'll play PES and they're like, can I change it to FIFA controls? We do the Redmen TV tournament at Anfield. The FIFA guys that got to the final or whatever, that smashed you all guys on the way as well. Just say.
I'm sorry, Machin.
Just
I'm
say.
sorry, mate. Mate, I'm so sorry.
They played with FIFA controls, and dodgy presenters on the UK's #1 video game podcast might play FIFA controls. But yeah, so it's amazing to see how that is changing over time. I mean, that said, you do get some young, dodgy people that play with FIFA controls. Oh, Beans is in the chat, and he says he plays on FIFA buttons. Oh, God, there we go.
The same cloth as Beans.
Beans, I have your T-shirt as well. We've just, I don't know if you've seen that. Do you know, I have it just there. We've just got our Chicken for Charity prizes in. So, where is it? Where's the camera? There it is. So there's Beans' Chicken for Charity T-shirt and a little PUBG USB splitter jobby thing. So that was from the Chicken for Charity tournament that we were taking part in last week before.
2 weeks last.
2 weeks on Friday.
Previous. How do you say that? A fortnight ago.
Yeah. So we'll get them sent to you, Beans. So you should have them either later this week or early next week. Nice. So is this the gaming version of changing GIF to SIF, Opal Fruits to Starburst, or Marathon to Snickers? What the... I suppose it is, really. I suppose it is, because GIF changed to SIF because that was it the European version? Opal Fruits changed to Starburst because that was the American version, and same thing with Marathon and Snickers. This is effectively that. It's whilst we are X, you've got to feel that Sony have changed it for the American audience.
Well, if the American audience, I mean, it's not even the American audience, it's us in general, it's the Western.
Yeah, I'm just meaning like Sony as a company has become, even though it's a Japanese company, it's become more Americanized as a company. I know it's Americanized is quite a generic statement because the whole world is becoming more Americanized.
Yeah, but you cater to the majority in that terms, don't you?
This conversation is the game equivalent to pineapple on pizza. Careful on the precedent you set here, boys. I'm just going to ban... actually, Bacon Chin, what are your thoughts on pineapple on pizza? Where's the ban button? Just in case.
You got to give him a reason first.
Yeah, I mean, I'll wait for it. I'm just not going to insta ban him, but I will do when you know.
A wild board game appeared. PES controls greater than FIFA controls. I mean, I'd love to be able to just have one universal one, which is the FIFA one. I'd love to be able to have the bollocks to go to a FIFA event, or my mates has to say, do you mind if I change the controls to PES controls, please? Because I know for a fact they would forget to change them back at some point, so I would then have to beat them with a different control scheme, but it's just the way it is. I have a lot more friends that play FIFA than I do Pro Evo, so when I go around to their house, it's just more convenient to have the control scheme that I'm more familiar with.
I think it's Dan upstairs.
It's because you didn't ask me in the job interview, really, innit? A couple of years ago.
Yeah. I think Dan upstairs plays on whatever it is. So I think if he's playing PES, he plays PES. And I think if he plays FIFA, he plays FIFA.
Well, 65-year-old Jamie Hughes has only just got to past the point where there's more than just 2 buttons to be able to press on your controller, so...
Yeah. Up, down, left and right. No, use the stick.
He was using... He didn't want to use the analog stick for so long. He was using D-pad still. I was like, who the fuck's playing D-pad when they come to play
8 directions.
Game? Yeah, he was just running in diagonals. Like, I know where you're going, Jamie. You're going in a straight line up
there. Good morning as well, by the way, while board game appeared. PES controls is greater than FIFA controls. Absolutely. I'll play that little on consoles or with controllers, says Gagad, that I have to look down to see what button I need to hit. That is me when I'm on
keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, mouse and keyboard. Yeah. Most stuff I'm fine. Like
where's W?
WSD, Control Shift Spacebar.
That's what
nailed it. But then when you have to do crouch, which is on C, put your weapon away or go prone.
That pisses me off as well.
Yeah, you crouch and then put your gun away. You're like, fuck, and then you get your gun out and you stand back up. It's like, no, I'm just hitting the same button.
Every first-person shooter has a different control scheme. Don't understand why have we not got a universal control scheme for mouse and keyboard when it comes to first-person shooters. Some of them will be control left. Some of them will be C. Going prone will be X. Like, why isn't C the default? I don't know how people manage to use control left.
I think like PUBG, I could be wrong. I think C is to crouch, hold. I don't know if holding it works, but like consoles. But I think Z is to go prone. X is to put your weapons away. So you've got like, if it is that, 3 buttons that do very different things right next to each other. So you like, shit, someone's there. I need to lie down. Put my gun away. It's like, not only am I not hidden, but now I'm not armed. Fuck.
It's like, I was streaming Halo last week on ODST, and I was like, hopefully it'll keep a control scheme. Pressed F, because that's what I binded it to be able to open stuff. F is always open for me rather than E. And just throwing fucking grenades left, right and centre, didn't I? So it's just, like, E is always like a special ability, F would always be the action button, but everyone uses different things. It's so universal.
The thing I hate is believing in my ability to remap buttons as well. So like when you go to the key bindings, I always go, oh yeah, I want that to be that. And I do something daft then, like I have 2 things mapped to the same button. So I'll like jump and lob a grenade at the same time. No, that's not what I wanted to do.
Macros, that's all you need, isn't it? Like the button on the side of your mouse, like, yeah, you just press that and you'll jump and throw a grenade. Perfect.
I did see, finishing off that comment, Gagad says, years ago when I was playing with my sons, they kept shouting, hit circle. By the time I looked down, the chance was gone. Many times. I remember when Chloe, when she wasn't good at video games, and now she'd absolutely melt me on Fortnite, when we used to play games, I'd just basically go, get ready to press square. So we're playing Pez or whatever. She'd just stand in the box, I'd cross it, and she'd go, so I'd tell her before it was happening, get ready to press square.
Nando's King plays D-pad. Is that for real?
Do you know what? A lot of pros played D-pad up until, like, it must have been 2016, 2017, just because it was enough. There wasn't enough, like, nuancing in the dribbling, the moving, but you could guarantee exactly what was going to be happening with your controllers. So pros up until that point, I was, like, at PES World Finals in Milan 2016, players still playing with D-pad there. It's like, these are the best in the world. They've got 8 directions. The fuck?
They're bringing their own controllers, like from the PS1 that didn't have analog sticks. Plug that in for us, please, pal.
Bean says, I have seen that on Twitter, mate. It looks less hype that we dominated in. Violence, speed, aggression. God damn it.
No. Well, I didn't get 1 kill in that game.
Yeah, but
I got a couple of downs.
You brought banter and morale.
Yeah, I was a motivational speaker.
I mean, I got 75% of all of the kills on the team, but it's fine. It's fine. I mean, I'm saying that like I'm big things. 75%, half of those came in 1 game.
And what a game it was.
It was actually more than half because I killed 3 people and ran the guy over on the bridge. 4 kills in 1 game, 2 kills across the other 4 games. Chapper says mod 5 standing by because Bacon said just shadow ban me. If you can have fish on a pizza, then pineapple can be on one as well. Do you know what? That's a good point. Fish on pizza is what my thought process is, and I don't know if Luke's watching. If he is, I'm going to shout out Luke because I'm going to throw him under a bus. We as Team Jelly decided to let's all order some Domino's pizzas in. The office will pay for it. Everyone choose a pizza, and we'll just get a large one of your pizzas of choice. So if I want Mighty Meaty and you want Mighty Meaty, okay, we'll make sure there's at least one of that. And everyone picked their pizzas, and Luke picked like a tuna and sweet corn pizza.
Is that because they knew nobody else will be want to eat it? But
even Luke didn't want to eat it. I was just like, fuck that. God.
That's rough.
So fish on a pizza, wrong. However, that said, one thing that I always was kind of conditioned to hate, and I don't know if there was a cartoon or something that was like anchovies on pizza, are horrendous. And I don't eat fish generally, so any fish and this cartoon like conditioning me to on a pizza, I was like nah. And then I went out for a meal with the company Appliances Online, AO.com. I went out with their marketing team to Cromer or something in Manchester that does pizzas, and one of them got anchovies on pizza. I'm sat there going, little fish on your pizza, are you mad? And he's like, have you ever tried it? I was like, nah. He's like, it doesn't even taste like fish. What it tastes like is like salt meat. I was like, nah. He's like, have a taste. Anyway, tasted it, fucking glorious. It was incredible. It was incredible. If you go to a chip and you put shitloads of salt on your chips, it was basically that. It didn't even taste like fish at all. However, I'd still rather have meat and then just put a bit of salt on it. It was good.
Did you see Show's Shegafron stream?
No, I saw bits of it, but no.
There was one where he did his channel points and he had to get to a certain amount and he'd order. It was fucking rough.
I did see a picture of the pizza. What was on it?
It was anchovies, olives,
Olives isn't out. I'd eat anchovies. Olives not so much.
I can't remember what the other two. If Ravi or Pirates in here, let us know what the other two was. But it was just a rank pizza. Like he said, the smell was disgusting. Like he ordered one and two turned up. That's how much they wanted to try and get rid of the shit that was in there. Like Christ knows where the anchovies came from. But yeah, it just looked fucking rancid. I've never seen anything like it. Well, and I'm a guy that loves a pizza, do you know what I mean? You don't get these tits for nothing.
I do want to also clarify, if I was ordering a takeaway pizza, I probably wouldn't get anchovies. If it was sat in some sort of because this was like a pizza restaurant in Manchester City Centre, I mean, it wasn't my pizza, I didn't order it, it was someone else's pizza, but I'd be more inclined to do that rather than ordering takeout, because takeout pizzas can be sweaty at best, so sweaty fish, nah, you're alright.
It's not for me, that. It nearly put me off my own pizza, like, oh, go on then, chili cheese.
A wild board game appeared, says thoughts on apples in a pasty. I am for, just as I am for pineapples on a pizza.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Do we have mod number 5 ready with the the band stick, chaps?
I didn't even know if apples in a pasty was a thing.
The Cornish pasty traditionally was split in two halves. Do you know, like Cornish pasty, it has like, if you get, rather than the flat ones, you get the ones that are like a humpback.
Beaded, yeah.
The beading is a handle. That beading is what you hold on to eat it, and the Cornish pasty was a worker's lunch. One side of it would be meat, and one side of it would be fruit and jam. So you'd have your pasty, your main course, and your dessert. Fact. I mean, I would never eat that.
I've seen some shit in my time when it comes to food, but that is not something that I would ever be able to get behind.
There you go, learning for you. If you ever wondered what Cornish pasties used to be like, now you know.
Welcome to my TED Talk.
I love me a tuna and sweet corn pizza. Do we still have the band stick? Pineapple on pizza is a must. My God, we have some wrong uns in here this morning, boys.
I'll tell you what, mods, you're going to be a very, very busy.
Bacon chin. Hello, Twitch. How do you make a complaint? I'm assuming that was to the anchovies bit, or just all of the chat in general. Wasn't it Futurama that made everyone hate anchovies on pizza? It could be, to be fair. I did watch a lot of Futurama, so it could have been. Ham and pineapple, they're rancid, I agree. It might have been turtles, only Michelangelo loved anchovy pizza. It could have been that too. As a Devon lad, the apples in a pasty can get to fuck. Yes, turtles too, for us older gents. Hitch where it says I didn't know that, there you go. Futurama's where I first have heard of it. I have had a camel kebab.
Oof, not sure about that.
I was supposed to get one, just never fucking turned up, I got the ump. Anyway, but I hate anchovies and tuna fish, so I can get off the pizza. I'm about to go on a sweep of a second of timeouts. Boom, 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 boom.
Graham, we've got two other news articles today.
I was just about to say let's shelve those because we spent so long talking about pineapple pizza, mobile gaming, and all the rest. I will give you a bit of a recap on what we have spoke about though. The other two stories aren't major breaking that need to be discussed now, but the primary story from the S-Box box. I tried to say it wrong, and I even said it wrong trying to say it wrong. So the Xbox boss, Phil Spencer, thinks that 8K might never be the standard in video games.
Yeah.
I think it will. It might take 20 years, but it will be. It's not going to be this generation. Probably not next generation.
It took us 4 PlayStations to get a standard 1080p, so it's not going to be anytime soon, but it will get there eventually.
Yep, I agree. Ray tracing has been spotty as well, according to Phil Spencer. I think that's fine. I think it's easy to say something like that now.
Yeah.
Because if you're just about to have your first foray into ray tracing and you don't really have any games yet, what you're basically saying is ray tracing's been shit, but we're about to start on it.
Yeah. The future is now.
Yeah, ray tracing has been shit. If only someone would make a new console. Wow, look at my Xbox Series X. So yeah, that was the first story, and the second story and the final story, because we only got through 2, is that PlayStation is switching its default button in Japan. In Europe and in America, we use X as the default button. In Japan, they use circle, but they're going to switch it so they all fall in line. I didn't actually give my honest thoughts on that. My honest thoughts is I like uniformity. I like the fact that everyone's on the same page. But trying to learn FIFA controls when you're playing PES is difficult. Trying to learn vice versa is difficult. So if you spent 26 years using one button and they change it, don't get me wrong, it'll probably be the same amount of time to unlearn it. If you've played it for 5 hours as opposed to 26 years, once you've burned it in your muscle memory, it's gonna be difficult to get used to.
Something tells me they're going to have a little remap.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
Settings.
I think that kind of works better for me because if we've seen so much advancements, particularly in this generation, for console accessibility, and granted that's more for people that need access to games for disability reasons. So for like Naughty Dog with The Last of Us Part 2 had huge advancements in terms of accessibility, not having to mash buttons and being able to do slow presses and things like that. To allow people to play the game how they want to play so they can fully experience it. If you've got Naughty Dog doing that, it kind of surprises me that PlayStation are going, no, you must play it this way. I know it's only a single button press, but you kind of would map it just to wherever people feel comfortable. But what do we know? What do we know? In my opinion, more choices is good, but PlayStation have made a choice, and we'll see how that works for them. The interesting closing thought on that, though, is Microsoft are bending backwards, working with Japanese publishers and developers to get more games to appeal to a Japanese audience. Meanwhile, Sony are saying to their Japanese audience, you need to be more American. Could that be something that has a big swing in console uptake in that region? Well,
I mean, that's an even bigger jump in it, really, if your buttons go from square, triangle, circle, and X to A, B, X, Y.
Yeah, I mean, what if, though, if you've got used to your cancel button being circle, not X, and Xbox goes, actually, I don't know what button's that. Is that B?
Yeah.
So actually, B can be our cancel button if you want. I mean, is that people going? I know it's a different button, but it's the same place.
You'd like to think that kind of thing wouldn't make that much of a difference, but who are we to say that? I mean, after 26 years,
talking an article.
26 years of me with the right button console. I don't know. I mean, but board game there. I like the difference. Feels retro. I don't know. I don't know. It's we'll wait and see. I mean, you'd like to think there would be that much of a kick-off about it, but I mean, it's featured on the UK's #1 video game podcast, so there you go. Touché. If we're picking up on it, who else is?
Exactly. And speaking of the UK's #1 video games podcast, we are about to wrap things up. Thank you everyone for joining us in the stream. There's been a lot of discussion. We like discussions. We like discussions that get on the verge of heated, which is what ours did, which is nice. It's nice. I like seeing people, I've said it many times, don't ever feel that you can't argue your point.
Absolutely.
In this chat. If you feel strongly about something, fight your point
That's
strongly.
What it's there for.
And someone else will fight their point strongly in return, which is what we've had in the chat today.
We've never had to ban anyone for opinions, have we?
Microtransactions, and we had it on disgraceful things like pineapple on pizza.
Exactly.
So yeah, you can have your opinions, and we welcome them each and every single weekday at 10 a.m. ish on twitch.tv/. Ice Cream uploads. We are about to disappear. We'll be back tomorrow. There's no additional streams, obviously, on Tuesday because we're in the office doing work things, but we'll be back tomorrow with another episode of The Scoop. Before we do disappear, Bib, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, of course. Again, thank you very much for getting involved today, ladies and gentlemen. An hour and 25 minutes. This is only meant to be an hour podcast, and it goes over every single day. We have 4 things. We only have 2. But if you do see anything knocking around the video game, I haven't done the chat bot.
Oh, I've just written socials. Okay.
I have another chat part.
Socials.
Spiral alert.
At.
Yeah. Spiral alert. It's at Ice Cream uploads across all major social media platforms. At We've Got Webinio. At Graham_Day on Twitter as well. If you do see any video game news knocking around the social media platform of your choice, you can either find us on social media with the ats that I've just given you there, or get us on Discord as well. I imagine most of you that are in here are already in the Discord. There's a little section on the left-hand side called The Scoop. All you need to do is drop in your thoughts and impressions along with the link to the article that you're dropping your thoughts and impressions on. We will then give our thoughts and impressions on the very next show, which will be at what day, at what time? Tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day.
10 a.m.
Ish.
Chappers have just exclaimed about socials. What?
Yes. Chatbot's not on in the studio. We have to turn it off, but it doesn't come on automatically. So
that's why I've just written. Socials are all at Ice Cream Uploads.
Yeah. Spiral alert. Spoilers. It's a unique name, and that's our socials there as well.
I mean, if you do want to get in touch with us, yeah, there you go. Bibbs just said our socials are on screen. At Graham_Day, at We've Got Peppiatt, that's us. But we're going to disappear. Have yourselves a fantastic day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. We're going to, get some work done. We're going to, maybe get some work done. I'm going to eat some food. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm starving, Graham.
I had overnight oats for breakfast, which was nice and healthy, but it's left a gap. Anyway, have yourselves a fantastic day, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you back at 10 a.m-ish in the morning for the Scoop, and then some more Masters of the League. Nice. Make sure you're there for Master of the League as well. It's the last one of the week. There is no Master of the League on Friday. So, yeah, have yourselves a fantastic day, and
stay frosty!